Speaking of Big, right? Do you consider him a top 10 rapper of all time with only 2 albums? Cause I do know some people that feel like, Ready to Die aged poorly.
Um, I gotta disagree with that. Like Ready to Die is a classic. It ain't never gonna be dated. Like it's a classic. It's stamped. So I gotta disagree with you. But um I do feel like he did a little bit of work. And for him to have a name like that and be so his name edged in stone, like a lot of people in the game feel like he's like the best or one of the best. And to be able to accomplish that in that short period of time with the short amount of space that you had, but to impress all of them people and make your mark so known is like he gotta be one of the greatest just for that alone. You know what I mean? It's a bunch of people that was out when Big was out and they still around and they still out. So that means they probably had more albums than Big when he was out and they've been dropping music ever since and people still don't put them nowhere near on the same level as they put Big. So it goes to show that he had to do something to people in that short period of time that he had and had to influence a lot of people that came after him for them to still be putting his name up there. He's responsible for a lot of the waves that came after him too, not just his own music, but a lot of other people that made hits and made classics and good music after him wouldn't have been able to do that if they didn't hear Big. Just like Pac. If they ain't hear Pac and they ain't hear Big, they didn't hear the levels that they was taking it to and what they was doing. A lot of people that came after them wouldn't even have been able to do what they did. We wouldn't have had no Jay-Z. Like he was a person that you brought up in the beginning and you said that's dope that he let you clear his stuff. But how would Jay-Z have become Jay-Z that he is if it wasn't for for Pac and Big being out? You know what I'm saying? How could Nas be who he is now if it wasn't for Pac and Big coming out? Like, you know what I'm saying? People had to change the same way I said when I came with these punchlines and people had to transition and change the way they looked at rap. It's the same thing when them dudes came out. When they came out, they made people change even the way they looked at rap. So it changed everything after them. That's why they so great. Not just for their catalog or just the 2 albums they dropped, but all of the albums that everybody else dropped that was connected to them that changed the game.
Do you think Big and Pac dying opened the door for Jay?
Um, Nah, I think he was already in the door. Jay-Z first album, Reasonable Doubt, is a classic to me. That's like my favorite Jay-Z album. You know what I mean? That's like that. I think Reasonable Doubt, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Those like my 3 favorite albums. Like a lot of people like albums after that, but I feel like that was my favorite time with Jay-Z around that time. I felt like he was just crazy with it. Reasonable Doubt is like a super classic. And I feel like it's still not dated. Like I could go in the car right now after we leave here and play Reasonable Doubt and be rapping it and singing it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I still love it to this day. So I felt like he always was nice, always was a genius with this, but it's a business. And you know what I mean? Big and Pac had everybody attention. So it was hard for him to become Jay-Z, like the best, the top, like, you know what I mean? Nobody could fuck with him. Like it would have been difficult if they was around. If Pun would have stayed alive, you know what I'm saying? There was a lot of people that was like super nice. And I mean, and once Big and Pac left, it really was just like Jay and Nas. And that's why you see them go through what they went through, because you got to fight for that position. But he didn't have to like fight with Pac or Big no more because they wasn't around. So it just left a wide open space for a nigga that was nice as him. Jay-Z jumped more into space, like in the direction that Big was going in. Like, you know what I mean? That's why he said, I say a big verse. I'm only bigging up my brother, bigging up my barrel. I'm big enough to do it. I'm that thorough. Plus, I know my own flow is foolish. So he went in that direction. And there's like X kind of went in the Pac direction. You know what I'm saying? So like that, you know what I'm saying? That direction, that Pac, that energy that he had, like X was able to take over that. That's why he was putting up all them plaques and doing all them numbers. But if it wasn't for that imprint that Big and Pac already made, then X and Jay-Z wouldn't have been able to do it to that level like that.
Speaking of that, right? You was on Rough Riders with X. Do you think he was influenced by Pac? Cause people be in their feelings over that, man. Like, oh, X, he was his own man. He didn't copy Pac. I mean, it's crazy, man. I did an interview with Charlie Baltimore, and when I asked her that, she was like, "Nah, X or Ja Rule didn't copy Pac at all."
Um, when I got down with Rough Riders, X was already lit. You know what I'm saying? He already had hit records. He already was established. But like I said, I could just tell. I know that Ja Rule and DMX was influenced by Pac because he made too much noise. He was too big for people not to take something from Ball. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying they just tried to copycat him or be a clone of him, but a lot of things that they felt like that they was able to do or even allowed to do or even capable of going in that direction was because it was artists like Pac that came before them. The same thing, like you could ask a young dude, like, is John Morant, is he inspired by AI? Maybe he might not feel like, yo, I just tried to be like AI, but a lot of the stuff that you able to do now in the league, you would have never been able to do if AI ain't make them sacrifices. Like dudes used to have to wear suits. They couldn't. Now you see them dressing like rappers. I mean, they got on jewelry. They got on like fly clothes. They doing whatever they want to do now. They getting all tatted up, tattoos, and now everybody got dreads and crazy hairstyles and all that stuff. You see that back in the day, the NBA wasn't allowing that. And even when AI was doing it and sagging his pants and wearing big shorts and doing stuff that nobody never seen before, it was like he got penalized, he got fined, he got criticized. It hurt AI, but he had to make that sacrifice so that dudes could come and now they reap the rewards. Now they getting bigger checks and looking like they doing the right thing. So even if you don't want to admit it, it's like you got to know that AI played a part in the reason why these dudes is like how they is now. You know what I'm saying? Jordan was signing the first sneaker deal like how he did and showing these artists or these athletes how to get money outside of just the NBA. Like, you know what I'm saying? All of these dudes is influenced by that. All y'all dudes that signing sneaker deals now, you know what I'm saying? He helped y'all to get in that lane, whether y'all directly know it or not. Even if it's somebody behind you, like a manager or a sports agent telling you to do this or do that, and you might not feel like you just listen to them, that even the reason why your sports agent could tell you that we could do something like this is because of what people did before you. And that's why I feel like you got to study the past to know where the future going to go. Like a lot of people just want to start where they at, but you got to know that there's so many people that made sacrifices and put in work and might not have got their fair share because they was the first doing it. And they had to take the hit, but they took the hit in order for everybody that came after them to be able to reap the benefits. So I feel like, back to the question that you asked me, was Ja Rule, DMX, influenced in some way from Tupac? And he definitely was. Big too. Even somebody else that like Ice Cube, you know what I'm saying? Like LL, Run DMC, anybody that came before them that made a major, that did major stuff, I feel like, the artists that came after them had to be influenced by them. That's just how the game should go.
Right, right. Yeah, that's real talk, man. How is he as a person?
Um, he was a great person, man. I just feel like X was a genius. Um, he was a good dude when I was around him. I mean, everybody got their own perspective of people. Like two people could know the same person and they both could have a different story. One person could look at the person like they was a bad person, a negative, and somebody could look at them like they was a great person. I'm sure somebody that look at DMX like DMX was actually sticking niggas up. So you might ask somebody that DMX put a gun to and robbed them and took their stuff if he was a good dude. They might be like, hell no, that nigga, he robbed me. That nigga was the worst. But then he might have robbed somebody and then took that same paper and then paid somebody rent and saved their life or saved their house or something. And they look at him as the best person in the world. And he could have did both of those things in the same day. So it's all a perspective, you know what I mean? But from how I seen him, he was a good dude, you know what I'm saying? Always showed me love. And I mean, I was inspired by all of the noise he was making and how he was carrying the label that I was on. It motivated me to want to get on my job, to know that I could, put out music that could appeal to the world. It was like my inspiration. So not just X, but the Locks, Drag, Eve, everybody that was on before me that was making noise and doing their thing, you know what I'm saying, was an inspiration to me because I was right there and able to see it.